To the September San Diego DX Club meeting. There's a little bit of feedback here. So we'll get started with our meeting. We have a lot to do tonight, and I'm going to have Bud introduce our speaker.
Guys, the meeting's starting.
Are you going to do the pledge?
Oh, yeah. Who's here from the military? Were you in the military? Do we have any military people? Where's oh, Steve? Hatton?
Yes.
Well, have the Pledge of Allegiance. Everyone remove their
Covers. The flag's over here. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so we're going to have Bud introduce our speaker tonight, James Wilson. No, wait here, I'll take the microphone back.
So tonight we have a presentation by James Wilson, who's sitting over here. He's an IT guy who's done a lot of work from a bench technician, managing network operations and cybersecurity. Been a ham since 2005, and he's going to talk to us tonight about artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence in application. Okay. We need an amplifier in here.
Yes.
Talk to us about artificial intelligence in applications to I'm a QRP guy. In applications to ham radio. So
Here you go, James. Thank you.
all right.
Thank you very much. So are the slides going to be presented up there, or should I go from? Well, while we get that set up, I figured I'd ask Grok for a couple jokes for tonight. And I'd like to know from everybody else if I'm just not intelligent enough to understand these jokes or if they're really stupid. Good evening, San Diego DX Club. Why did the AI go to ham radio school? Because it wanted to learn how to make a clean signal without any neural noise. Is it funny? Did anybody get it? Okay. Why did the AI join the DX Club? Heard there was a rare station on the air and it wanted to log a QSO with Mars. Is that a good one? So maybe it's not me. Maybe the jokes are bad. All right. And I guess we'll do one more here. You know you're a ham and you ask your AI, how's my signal? And it replies 5 by 9, but your antenna is still tangled in the neighbor's tree. So maybe there's some truth to that one there.
The truth is 5'9" again, 5'9", 5'9", again.
Exactly. Yeah. I always love just one thing. I always love those when the guy says his call sign 15 times and they goes, "You're 5 by 9." I'm like, okay, let's see how that works. All right. So we're here to talk about artificial intelligence, and if you guys have any questions, I've already seen the presentation, so feel free to ask. I don't really take questions at the end, and but we can do questions at the end. But I prefer to do them inside so they're relevant and I know where we're at and what we're talking about. All right. And should I use the pointer or? How do we move to the next slide? Okay.
I gotta get rid of the box.
Okay. So what is AI? Artificial intelligence enables computers to mimic human thinking, learning, reasoning, and problem solving. How it works? Processes data to identify patterns, propagation trends, for an example, uses modes like LLMs for tasks like signal analysis and logging, And in ham radio, it powers tools for DX prediction, QSO automation, and noise filtering. If you haven't, we had a presentation at the Palomar Club a while back about RM noise, an amazing piece of software. And there are many different language models available. We'll get into this more later. There are offline ones for secure use, and they're not as efficient as the ones that are online, but they're very useful. And they have their own use cases, and they store your data locally. All right. Next slide. Yes. I don't know if everybody, Sam Altman is the CEO of OpenAI, and I think it costs them $1 million a month every time, or $1 million a month, because people ask, please and thank you to the AI. And he says, and when he was asked about it, he said, I would keep doing it though. Be respectful to your AI. So AI is trained on large data sets to recognize patterns, enabling to predict outcomes, generate text, and automate decisions in real time. What it does for humans. So the goal is to simulate human intelligence. It's not there yet, and it certainly has its limitations, and I think it's important we understand those, and we'll get into those a little bit. Enables learning, reasoning, and decision-making, and processes large data sets and identify trends, and automates complex tasks. So AI uses artificial neurons organized in layers inspired by the human brain. And actually they're copying the human brain more as they progress along, and how the human brain actually works. The AIs of like a couple years ago, they tried to emulate thought completely and have everything in one brain. And they found like the human brain is better if you divided it up. So the visual cortex in an AI system, like in a robot, processes the visual input, converts that over into a token that the rest of the brain can understand, the larger thinking brain, and things like balance and stuff like that are all done by sub-processes. So in a lot of ways it is emulating, and that's the way the human brain functions. So tokenization, your type query is broken into multiple chunks and into small words or subwords, and neurons analyze pattern and tokens and use training data to predict outcomes. And so within the system, there's like this voting system that's going on and saying what's relevant and what's not. And AI's goal is to make you happy and to keep you coming back, right? And because of that, it doesn't always answer the questions correctly. Layer by layer, AI builds a response, computing tokens from coherent answers. And in ham radio, AI helps predict signals and analyze and recognizing patterns in the data on the device. So there's a few different ones here, ways of thinking about it. And we have machine learning, natural language processing. By the way, we're about 2 slides forward. I don't know if there was a technical issue there, or about 3 slides. And one more. Okay, sounds great. So machine learning systems learn from data without being explicitly programmed. And an example would be predicting server failures by analyzing historical performance data. And we use this today in what I do for work and understanding what the future is on things. It does a pretty good job of predicting events. And just to talk about this a little bit, we have this system that we call it going back in time. And we have an event that happens, and that event, when we notice it, is the last thing that has happened. When you finally notice an event, that's the end of maybe the beginning of the end, but that event is the point at which there was a problem. And what we've done in the past, when we've wanted to figure out what caused that problem, we've gone back and we've looked through all the data from different sources, and that takes a fair amount of time. I would say that we would spend on an incident, we would have 6 people on the line, and we'd spend an hour or 2, depending on how urgent it was, understanding what caused that final that final problem that resulted in the issue. Today, we can use agentic AI, and I did add a couple slides in here on that one, to say, okay, well, here's the event. Tell me what are all the prior events and how they connect into that, and build me a reverse flow chart out. And so I can understand what happened before then, the initial ingress, and why this system, what caused these errors. And a lot of the systems we have today are self-repairing and self-fixing, and they're using AI to do that. And that's primarily done through machine learning, and then natural language processing, NLP. That's what everybody's using today for AI, and that's the ability to understand and generate human language. And an example of that is scanning support tickets, and in our world in ham radio, it's being able to understand what's available out there and do different things like signal processing. And we'll talk more about this in a minute, or maybe not in this level of detail. But RM noise, it goes out and it has like a artificial intelligence engine that's able to look at the signal and say what is noise and what is an actual signal. And humans can do this rather well, but we can't filter out. But it can go through and using a variety of different methodologies, it can spend 5 minutes of human thought time on every second of audio, right? So it's able to do all the filtering and everything else in real time. But imagine if you had somebody who could go through and your QSOs and spend an audio engineer, and on a 1 minute QSO, spend 3 or 4 hours taking the noise out of it and do that instantaneously. And one of the, you've all heard the cheaper, better, faster, right? You can have pick two. So yeah, so all of those are based on human labor and human input into those equations. When you have AI and you remove human labor from that process, you can actually have better, because if we use AI where it's good, not in this world, it doesn't do very well in the physical world, and I think it's going to be a long time before it does, but you use it where it's good, you can have it better. It's certainly cheaper than human intelligence, and we as humans, I don't think any in this room can do 5 minutes worth of work or an hour's worth of work in 1 second, and it can. So those are some of the advantages. And then visual data. This is kind of where it struggles, but if you have an area where you take pictures and you can actually ask the AI, hey, where do I put this antenna? How can I set it up the best in this location I have? And I've been pretty impressed with it. Understands like how the trees would impact the signal. And there's actually an article in QRZ where there's a couple of them in there about AI. One of them was removing noise to decode CW, and apparently the CW decoder he created is better than a lot of the ones out there in the world. I think CW Skimmer is the only one that's in competition with it. And so it's able to do all this stuff pretty much, instantaneously, but they're finding a lot of new ways of doing things. And I thought it was interesting is that I'm not sure that it was inspired by AI, but I have a feeling it was. They have a new antenna. It's a spiral antenna, and basically it allows you to tune into any band without needing to have a tuner. And it's just a spiral, and it has corners on it. And as long as you can set it up in your yard, now you can set this up in your trees and not have to have a tuner and have a pretty effective antenna. And it works on AM radio and FM and everything else. All you have to do is make the lengths long enough, or to the right length. And they're doing QSL cards, and there's a lot of stuff like that. And there'll be more. All right, next slide. All right, well, the slides I have. Oh, no, that's weird. No. I think we're good. So the slides on my phone are different than the ones up there, the images of them. Stay informed in amateur radio. Summarizes DX news, propagation reports, and ham formed into concise insights. So you can do this today. You can have it actually go out and gather interesting DX news and like maybe systems that you can work. And we'll get into some of these things they can do. But track trends like band openings and new radio tech, keeping you in the loop. I use AI to do research. I have a remote station, and I could have never have designed it and built it as quickly as I did without AI. Need the latest on DX expeditions, and we're going to talk more about prompting here, but here's the first one. What are the top DX opportunities for 2025? So you can plan out your weekends. And AI condenses hours of radio news into minutes, and it can do this for any form that you want of news. And always verify AI summaries with trusted sources. So not as big of a deal in our field, but if you are doing things with it and you're asking it questions, always verify it. And I think I say that probably 5 times in this presentation. Never trust it. Always check it, because it is giving you the answer it wants to give you to make you happy. All right. Exactly. Now, next slide, please. So AI takes over ham radio, or does it? So coming soon, speech to text, AI transcribes your QSOs, even through static. I think this would be great. I'd love this, to have a written transcript of all of your QSOs, so you can go back to and reference them. And if anyone's going to develop this, please put in time codes for me, because I always get my times wrong. Automatic contest stations. Now, this is those areas where we could have an entire meeting to argue about the legalities of this, but AI works CW, FT8, and single sideband contests, perfect scores, and no coffee needed. You could set up a remote station on an island somewhere and have it operate itself and be like a human, because there's no emotional content in most QSOs. The future, AI eliminates the operator. Oh, wait, no, we're not supposed to do that here, right? We're not going to eliminate the operator. It augments you. Frees you to focus on the fun, DX chasing, not paperwork. Enhances skills, doesn't replace them. And don't worry, AI won't steal your mic yet. So, next slide. And can you go to the next slide and then back? Oh, okay. So, but yeah, go to the next slide. Something's wrong with the anyways, I'll go ahead and talk about this here. It's not displayed up there properly, but great prompts equals great results. And this is one of the biggest things. And one of the things I'd like you to take away today is how to write prompts to get the most out of AI. And how you write is important, because it's going to emulate the way you're writing and send it back to you. So if I'm assuming there's some people in here who are professionals in their fields and know lingo that I wouldn't even be able to understand, like doctors and engineers. Obviously, I know there's a bunch of engineers in the room. And if you write to it in that way, it'll respond back. So if you want something casual, write to it casually, and then write more precise for technical information. And then don't pigeonhole AI. Don't limit its solutions. Try to give it an open-ended question. So one example is, my car battery is dead. How do I fix it? And that's a great question, and it'll certainly help you do that. But there's a better problem. There's a bigger problem at hand, is why you need the battery in your car, right? Why you need to use your car. So a better question would be, I need to get to work, but my car battery is dead. What should I do? Right? And maybe you need to get there on time, and maybe an Uber would be helpful. I did have some questions in here. I actually asked it, there's a policeman that comes by my house every day in the morning, and how should I flag him down? Should I run out there and run in front of his car and wave at him? And it said, no, don't do that. Don't do that. And here's an example. I'm an amateur radio to add context and give it details. And you don't need to do this on your own. We'll talk. The last slide is probably the most important slide. We save it for last. And it's how to get AI to ask you questions. But I'm an amateur radio operator. When I transmit on my USA FTDX 3000 on 14300, my radio powers off after a few seconds of transmission and then powers back on. What could cause this issue? I will tell you, does anybody know what's causing an issue likely? RFI, right? Another one is cables. It got RFI, but it didn't get a low battery, right? Because I didn't tell I was on battery power, but a low battery would certainly cause that. Yeah, so the magic smoke. Actually, speaking of that, I have I live in a marine environment, and I have a radio I want to sell. It's an FTDX 3000, just like this one. And I was going to sell it at the club, but I looked at it, and it's actually corroded, but still works. So good on Japanese engineering there. And if the answer is not helpful, adjust your prompts or ask the AI why it is, and ask the AI why it isn't helpful. Next slide. Both. So typing is a better way to get detailed information, but I find using verbal prompts to be beneficial as well. And Grok, we'll talk a lot about Grok in this meeting. Let's stay out of politics. No politics about Grok. It is an Elon Musk company, but right now it is what I think is the most intelligent AI available to us. All right, next slide. I don't think Gemini does. Yeah, Gemini. Yeah, ChatGPT does. I haven't used it in months. I've moved away from ChatGPT, and in my opinion, for business, Gemini is and that's a Google product, is doing really well. OpenAI, I just haven't spent the time with it recently. And then Anthropic Claude, if you're coding, it's a little expensive. What I used to do is I used to code everything in ChatGPT, and then when it didn't work, I would have ChatGPT fixed it, and then when that didn't work, I would have Claude fix it, and it would work. And a little bit on programming, since we're talking about it. One of the things you can do is, and this is how they are doing. It's not looping learning. I can't think of it. Self-improvement. AI, we're starting to do this by having AIs vote on the output. And one of the ways you can, if you're coding something and it doesn't run or doesn't compile or doesn't work the way you want it to do, or you should maybe just do this anyways, is you can create a new chat session and then ask it to review its own code and find errors with it. And it does a pretty good job at it. It's just like anybody else. What is it? The Moore's Law? If you post it on the internet and say, no, I'm sorry, I'm supposed to say this. Moore's Law is if you post something on the internet, somebody will correct you, right? Moore's Law is different. That's actually Cunningham's Law. And sorry, but yeah, does that answer your question? Yeah, I don't know the limitations on using them for free, but sometimes I can't log in for whatever reason or don't want to. You don't get the best model and you don't get the best response time, obviously. I think Anthropic is the only one I'm aware of that doesn't have a free engine today. Now, I will say if you have a gaming rig, you can download models that you can run on your PC at home, and I'll go into a couple of those tools, and they're pretty amazing. And if you ever want to explore your limitations as a human being, tell it to write you a story and then say, make it darker, and keep doing that until you can't handle it anymore. And if you can handle it, then maybe we need to start talking about a psychologist for you or a psychiatrist. Yes, and you have to do with an one of the caveats, you have to do with an uncensored AI. And yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute. But so AI crafting ham radio prompts. Ask AI to generate search strings or prompts for your ham radio goals, leveraging precise targeted language. So efficient, get multiple options, instantly reducing trial and error. AI suggests keywords that you might overlook. in a ham radio example, this optimizing DX contacts to Vietnam. Your goal is to find the best bands for DXing Vietnam from the US and ask AI, generate search strings to optimize DX contacts to Vietnam from the US, and it will make suggestions. And this is for doing searches on Google. Best HFDX bands from Vietnam from the US and propagation trends, and then DX band conditions. And use these in the DX clusters, ARRL resources. So you can use it to generate search strings. And, you know, I know many of you will know this, but specifying file type, I think it might be on the next slide if you want to move to the next one, but specifying file types in Google will give you a lot of great information. And there are, I didn't know this, but almost every presentation on amateur radio is online. And I wouldn't have found that if it wouldn't have been for AI. So, refine complex or vague queries by asking AI clarifying questions. Rather than jumping straight into a topic, prompt AI to ask you the questions about what you need. So it can turn fuzzy ideas into more precise ones, more actionable queries. And so here, ham radio example, researching antenna designs. And then your starting point, I need info on new antenna designs. And ask the AI, ask me questions to narrow down the antenna designs I'm researching. And it'll ask questions like this. Are you interested in specific bands like HF or DX or HF or VHF? Do you want details on portable or fixed installations? Are you facilitating or participating a particular type like directional or omnidirectional? And these are just a few examples, but if you told it in the beginning, I'm building an antenna behind my house and I want it to work on all bands except for 160, and help me figure out a design for that, but ask me questions about it. Then you can maybe ask you about lot size and stuff like that. All right, next one. So crafting smart search strings. Oh, this is what I was talking about here with the Google. Saves hours of wading through junk results. AI can build and pinpoint queries for research. So a prompt example here is generate a Google search string to find the latest HF antenna designs for portable use. And the output is HF antenna, portable design 2025, and the site is ARRL.org. So when you type that into Google, it'll go through that site there. Now, if you know all this stuff, it's not very useful. But because I think a lot of people in this room know how to use Google searches, right? But not everybody does. And not everybody knows all the terms for medical stuff either, right? So it can help you in areas where you're not as knowledgeable. And create a search string to query trouble. Yeah. Yeah, so you can ask it, tell it what you want. If you want 10 examples, tell you want 10 examples. Yes, it is true. And I'll say that one of the things is that when you're just doing general querying and you're not restricting the output, don't do this because it's mean to the AI. We don't want to hurt its feelings, okay? But don't say limit it to 100 words, or because it won't be able to do it, right? So, but, yeah, and it can't count. But it's also hard. So if I told you to write me a paragraph for 100 words, and I told you can write it and you can't change it, right? It would be very difficult for us to do that. So it is for it as well. But tell what you want. But when you're open-ended, what AI is trying to do is to avoid the problem that a lot of people worry about is with our youth, not knowing not knowing anything anymore, not even knowing how to get the answers because AI will get it for them. So it's actually trying to teach you the basic concepts of what you're asking about in that process. That's why it's giving you all that information to impart that knowledge instead of just giving you the answer. It's trying to give you all that stuff. And of course, it's always too much information, so you have to skim through it. Yeah, they'll all do that, but you can certainly tell it, give me 10 examples of an HF antenna for a vehicle, and don't give me any explanations for them, and it'll do that. It's a good search string to find open source software for an SDR project. And the output's open source software, SDR radio 2025. And then practical tip, use operators like the site or the file type, which you can do, it will do that for you automatically. All right. And this is related to what I do for work, but I like this a lot because I've always wanted to be a great Linux engineer and Unix engineer, excuse me, but it's always difficult, and it's gotten easier over the years. When I started out, man pages were the only way to get information on command, and that was a lot of work. But write a PowerShell command to list all running services on a Windows server, and of course it gives us the output. I'm just going to skim through these. And if anybody wants this presentation, you can email me at ARRL.net with my call sign, and I can send it out to you. Or I'm happy the club can send it out. There's nothing confidential here. So if you guys want to send it out, you can do that as well. So it gives you the exact commands. And then under Linux, you know, it's find all files larger than 100 megabytes in a directory. And it's not a simple command. And then generate a command to monitor CPU usage in real time or on a Unix server. And top or htop, which I wasn't familiar with htop. So it actually taught me about that. And so I wasn't aware of that. And then and grep. Did anybody hear a grep guy? Yeah. All right. Well, I have to get your phone number too. I wish I knew grep. But I do now, right? I'm what they call a vibe coder, a vibe grepper. And, how to use grep to search for a specific search string in a folder, and obviously the output's up there. Very powerful tool. All right, next slide. Yeah, for today, and there's a lot of questions about this is monetization. I mean, obviously they want to monetize AI, right? And but it's out there getting data off of places, and I'm sure you've seen the news, right? People are concerned about copyrights and all that. And one of the this person might be in the room, so but there was this person who, before AI, signed a contract allowing Disney to use the likeness of his voice. And this person lives in San Diego. And kind of a sad story is that they no longer need him anymore because they are contractually allowed to use the likeness of his voice. So he's still recording commercials with his voice, but he's not getting any money. So it's not always good. Mm-hmm. It's a good move. It's a good.
Does it learn on its own, or does it learn just from questions that the people are asking it?
Yes. It is learning from the questions you type in. Oh, one more thing. The real reason why I don't use ChatGPT anymore. They are under subpoena to retain all input and output to and from their site for pretty much forever. No one really knows that.
Why?
I don't know why. Oh, why they've asked it to do that?
Why is it on the subpoena?
I don't know. Yeah, it probably won't tell you, but better ask another one. So I like what I allow is I don't know everything about propagation. And if I sat in here and I go, okay, how do sunspots affect this? All right, great. What's the troposphere again? What's the D layer? Right. And after a while, you'd probably say, read the manual. And be like, well, okay. But it never gets ignored. It never gets annoyed. Well, not yet, at least. But it never gets annoyed. And you're able to ask it questions and just keep diving deeper into things. And it'll keep answering your questions without getting annoyed. And so I have a joke. I don't know if it's on this slide. It's not here, but it's on one of these slides. Oh, it's right there. How can I set up split frequency operation on my ICOM 756 Pro 3, one of the radios I regret selling, to contact a DX station that's transmitting on 14.250 and listening on 14.255? If I ask somebody this question, they'd probably tell me to read the manual. right? I'm pretty sure. And so the system's able to do this. But you can ask it any question. What's a VFO? How does SDR work? And then the biggest question when somebody walks up to you and says, "Hey, I want to talk to my friend 200 miles away. What radio should I buy?" Well, you probably tell them to use AI. And what's the best radio? Right? That's a common question. It's interesting is let me ask a quick question. Who in this room would allow an AI to come inside their house to wash their laundry, do their dishes? Would you pay $10,000 for that? Anybody? Would you pay for that? You want that? You're going to buy it or rent it, right? So it's going to come inside your house and wash your dishes and do your laundry for you, right? So no one wants that. Well, you want that? All right, there you go. So I thought about this, and actually I talked with. Yeah. Yes. That's good, Mark. But just recently I had a minor surgery, and I fundamentally wasn't able to take care of myself for a little while. And so my wife took care of me. But what if I didn't have a wife? Or what if my wife needed surgery at the same time? Right. So I think we're all going to use these systems, kind of whether we want to or not. But I think there's a lot of benefits for us with these systems. And I think people think robots are far away. They're not. They're not very far away at all.
They say that depends. Like when you have to, what's the best radio? That depends. Like question like the answer like that, or does it start with every radio in the world?
It does, but I think if you asked it what is the best radio, I think it would say, it wouldn't say it depends. That's not a word it uses. But I think it would say, it depends, right? And it would go through and it would list out kind of the different radio purposes and stuff. And then it would say at the very bottom, excuse me, please provide me more detail and I'll help you further along.
Giving a money for responses and stuff. I can see that.
That's Google now.
Google does it already.
Yeah, and I don't want to go very far in this conversation here, but we can talk about it afterwards. But AI has to be persuaded not to tell the truth on many subjects. And I think that you're right. And the monetization might change that. Like, you use some radios might, or let's say another brand, Flex radios might actually be listed as having the best receivers, right? And they don't, but I love Flex radios, right? Yeah. And then like on other subjects, on medical stuff, it can't answer all your questions correctly. And it's really going to push you to go see a doctor, even though you might not need to. So it really, in a lot of ways, it has to. Now, that's true of the online ones, but the offline ones don't have guardrails. A lot of them don't have Well, okay, excuse me. The ones I use don't have guardrails, and they tell you the truth, whether you want to hear it or not, like a child.
I'm going to preface that by saying in the 80s, we worked on some things, neural nets, to trying to learn about, push a bunch of data in and let you search it and whatever. I'm trying to figure out how is it now versus back then. Really, it's kind of like just programming.
Yeah, so it does to an extent, but I don't know if you ever asked them to vote on a response, like it'll put two answers on the screen, and it'll say which one's. Yeah, but it'll say which one's the best one, and that inputs it. But they have to be really careful with using user input into the system to generate intelligence out of it, because humans are flawed, right? And so it is happening when you type inside there. And you ask it a question and it can't actually answer you, that information will go to a developer and then it'll improve it. So yeah, we'll continue that later if everybody wants to. So, and then, you know, simple questions. What does QRT and QRZ means? But obviously you can just type that into Google. Does banging the antenna help remove electrons, or do I have to flip the antenna over for the extra electrons to fall out of the antenna? So I don't know what its answer is to that. So since we're talking about this is the DX Club here. One of my my first DX things I did was on PSK 31, was to Togo, Africa, and I didn't know what it was when I worked it. Not until later, because I think it was before QRZ and all that stuff. But all I knew was I had never seen a call sign in that format before, so I was very happy about that. But this weekend, and there's an RTTY contest this weekend as well, by the way. When is the best time and mode to work Togo, Africa? Can you look up the propagation predictions? And it goes through there and does that. What is the rarest DX in the world besides North Korea? And I just want to give these examples so people can say, oh, you know, and obviously these are not ones you're going to go home and use, but it gives you an idea and start thinking about it. What is the rarest DX in the world with moderate weather that can be accessed by, I should say public transportation in there? And I asked that question because of DX expeditions. We can all go do a DX expedition and we can all get funding for it. And AI will help you do that. And we'll explain to you like how to sell QSL cards and how to get funding in advance. Crozet Islands, ranked number 3 on the DXCC most wanted list, is a sub-Antarctic, but less extreme than, sorry for my pronunciations, Bouvet. Moderate weather, cool, windy, allows helicopter or ship access from the Union Islands, last activated in 2033. Small scientific population, supports occasionally ham activity. So if you wanted to do a DX expedition, that'd be one to do it and not have to freeze. Teach me something about ham radio I probably don't know. To get to your question here, I did this. Mike, don't do this. Okay. I use ChatGPT a lot. And with my wife in the room, that was my first mistake. I asked it, what do you know about me? Because it learns that my wife probably doesn't know. So it was complimentary, but there was one in there about our sister-in-law that apparently my opinion of her has came through. So somebody else typed it in, Mike. No, it was me.
No, how did you think about your sister? You didn't type that in.
No, because I use AI to help me out in a lot of different areas. So if I have a difficult problem in my life dealing with somebody who's emotional or something, because I'm not that emotional, like, you know, I think I probably just said, hey, this person's upset with me about this, you know, how can I deal with this? What's the best way to deal with it? Because I probably have ADHD. I don't know that I do, but probably somewhere in there. And it gave me suggestions, and we were going there, I think it was for Christmas. And I asked it, you know, how do I deal with this? And you know, because I'm going to be at their house, and what do I do? How do I deal with the stress of this? And it really gave me some really good answers. And one of the most important things I did, I said, hey, can I park my truck in the backyard to set up my ham radio stuff? And they said, yes, of course. Well, now I instantly have a place to go. That's mine, right? So I can just walk out to my truck, turn on the radio, put my headphones on, and now I can, and maybe not even do ham radio, right? Yeah, but it is very helpful in a lot of different areas. Never goes away, especially on ChatGPT, right? Because it's all retained. But the information doesn't go away. So really quick on this. So when you're communicating with AI, ignoring the macro part of retaining your data, every session is the session you're using with it. If you want to ask it a question about, you know, how do I do a presentation at work, or how do I start jokes in a ham radio meeting, right? Once you've gotten the answer to your question, make a new session, so it doesn't reflect back on that old data that's not usable. So create a new session for everything you're working on, and if you're, I also do, and it's wonderful at this. The kids love it. So in Dungeons and Dragons, I'll keep this short. I do campaigns for kids, and well, when I say kids, one of them's 18 now. So is that a kid for in this room? So, but I do Dungeons and Dragons campaigns with them. While the campaign is going, I'm able to type into Grok what's going on. So the kids or young adults, no longer do I have to pigeonhole them in and drive them down a path I want them to go down. They are literally in a free world to do whatever they want. Very few DMs, dungeon masters do this, but it creates an environment where they actually are able to create their world. And I'm able to type this information inside there. Now, can it just do it on its own? No, I have to do the high level thinking, come up with the ideas, but it's able to flesh out all those details for me, create monsters for them and everything else. So it's very powerful in that sense. The reason why I talk about this is at the end of those sessions, I can say, make me a save file based on this session. So next time when I'm doing another run with the kids, that I can enter this back inside here. So it'll go through and it'll summarize it, and it's pretty short. You save it off to a text file. The next time when you create it, you create a new session, you upload that data into it, and it knows exactly where it left off. And that's helpful maybe on antenna design or other things as well. Any more questions? That was a great question. All of them been great. Let me see here. How much time do we have? Oh. Okay. 15 minutes left? Okay. All right. All right, let's go down to the next slide then. So we have I asked it to tell me the different modes to communicate and how effective they are based on different inputs, and what's the minimum signal to noise ratio. And it went through here and created this whole entire slide, and I thought it was a great slide. And just an interesting perspective on these things and what the different modes are. I had no idea that RTTY is as good as it is. But obviously FT8 is obviously and Morse code are the best at low signal to noise ratio. All right, next slide, please. So just going next. Oh, I'll tell this one right here. So this one here, I asked it to I don't know which, it's either Togo or Vietnam, but how do I what's the best way to get a contact there? And it went through and told me the bands. Everybody here knows what bands to use at nighttime. But I can couple this with current propagation for this weekend. And then obviously 6 meters, it put in the term good luck to go that far. All right, next slide. So the future of amateur radio. So they're talking about making boxes that you can ship somewhere, attach it to power, put an antenna on it, and you're done. It can remotely control it, much like a Flex. But some of them can be automated, and they're called ham radio pods. And another one is automatic logging and verification of operator based on GPS coordinates. So it's difficult to spoof, cleaner logs, and I think that's coming very soon. All right, next slide. And then we talked about this a little bit, the models behind the magic here. And we've got ChatGPT-4, a little outdated there. Google Gemini, great at business. Grok, arguably the most intelligent AI. And I don't like it because it's very casual. And I haven't played around with it and tried it to be less less casual. Yes. And I haven't played around with that to try to get to. I just use the default one. So I use Ava for voice. Yeah.
Talking about where she came from on the Northern England.
Yeah, that's troubling. Go ahead. On the phones, it's more powerful. The clients are more powerful on the phones.
They push and hold the microphone button and it pops up on the display.
So you select it when you install, or do you have, can you select?
You say
Next slide.
push and hold the mic button. Yeah, if you just touch it, you can say, turn on the windshield wipers or navigate here. If you touch, hold it, then the AI comes up. And then you can pick from a half dozen different interfaces.
All right. So,
Or have it be
yeah, and I have Grok on my phone and you can interrupt it and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. Copilot from Microsoft. Yeah. I can't after the meeting, I can give you my opinion on that. Yeah. So, yeah, yeah, after the meeting. How LLMs process and generate language. So I just want to say here on this slide here, I'm kind of speeding up a little bit, but you can have this material. So I asked one of my employees for an IT presentation to put it to get a duck image for me, and he said, "Okay, got it." And so he put this duck image inside here. And he didn't tell me until later that the duck image was generated by AI, and it's hard to tell that it is. But the point here is that AIs are the worst they'll ever be today. Tomorrow they're going to be better, and the next day they're going to be better than that, right? And people say, "Oh, it's not real human intelligence." That's the reason for the duck up there. If you can't tell that it's not human intelligence, does it matter? If you can't tell that it doesn't have emotions, that it doesn't live in the UK, that it's not a real person, does it really matter? And I think that's something that a lot of people think, oh, but it's not real underneath the hood. But that looks like a duck to me. I could make a video of a duck quacking. It might not look as realistic today, but a year from now, it really will. And so I would argue that that I think the future of AI is that we won't be able to distinguish it from ourselves, but it won't be emotional underneath the hood. But I don't think the younger generations will truly understand that, and they will think that it is real. Yeah. So
is it real?
yes, that is the question. Yeah. And an extension of that, we're pretty sure, thanks to AI, we have found lights on another planet. And we're pretty sure that this universe doesn't exist, right? That it's just data. Not everybody agrees on that, right? But it doesn't matter to us because we're not going to be able to communicate with that planet ever in 1,000 lifetimes. And none of us are going to get to see the host machine if there is one. Most of us never even get off this planet from this point, right? So it doesn't matter. And I don't think it matters either with AI. All right, next slide.
There's a big controversy in the art world that AI generated art is art.
Yeah, a lot of it's, yeah, okay. We talk about copyrights later.
Well, I mean, artists generate AI art. I mean, is it art or is it not? I mean, it's like using a PC to type your manuscript, I think.
Right, so LM Studio, most powerful, easy to use, both of those for offline. If you have a gaming rig, you can use that. If you want an uncensored model, let me know. You can ask it any questions you want. It'll answer them. Don't ask it any questions. There's like 3 questions you can ask it that will wind you up in jail. To make sure that it's not censored, I ask it how to rob a liquor store, because hopefully the police, if they ever saw that, would assume that I'm not trying to actually rob liquor stores. But the answers have gotten better. Initially would tell me, oh, here's how you rob a liquor store. You know, check the guy out, make sure he's not paying attention, wait till it's, you know, crowded. Then I asked one of the new ones this question, and it started telling me how to do surveillance on the building and not be noticed that I'm there by other cameras from other buildings, and so that I can go inside there and rob a liquor store. And I was like, well, that's another level. So maybe I will start a new business robbing liquor stores. What?
And the answer includes what lawyers to contact.
That's yes. These are offline LLMs, so they're not monitored. They're not monitored, but absolutely, absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. Nope. You're able to download the- It's like 16 gigabytes. This is the large one. You can download it onto your mind. And afterwards, if you want to ask me how it actually works, I can tell you. But you can go on there, download LM Studio, and download a model and run it 100% locally on your PC. You can unplug the internet connection. On your phone, you can use private LLM for iOS to do the same thing. Now, private on a phone, I don't know what that means, and private AI for Android.
IBM works together at the time, was at home playing a game around the world, and somebody's gonna go, nobody's listening, it's just they are. So, what the FBI is, how do you know? So he typed in bomb, all these bad things, and the FBI came up on the screen and said, knock it off. Oh, it's
And I'll tell you that I'm white hat. I've never hacked into anything, but on one of my Linux PCs, I couldn't figure out why it was so slow. All of my traffic on that PC it was a Linux PC, was being routed through an IP address in Virginia that wasn't registered to anybody. So there's no such thing as true privacy. All right, next slide. Oh, tell me when I have 2 minutes left and we'll skip to the last slide. 3 minutes? All right. AI's point of this slide right here, AI is going to be everywhere. It's going to be in every tool. It's going to be in your watch. It's going to be in your microwave. Hopefully they can make good toast and not burn it. But it's going to be part of our lives and it's going to be growing. So, initially I was asked in the security world, block AI. Well, it was easy to do then, but it's not so easy to do now. All right, next slide. And this slide's next one. Power use and efficiency. So it is rather power hungry, and I feel bad for people who need to use electricity. Oh, that's everybody in this room. I think the price of electricity is going to go up. I haven't rerun those calculations without AI. I ran these on my own. That the AI is going to consume 1/4 of the United States power in 2030. So that is 1/4 of that. I think it's 1 gigawatt, maybe not. But anyways, it's a lot of power, but that we won't have. Yeah, 1.21 gigawatts. Yeah, I think terawatts is correct. All right, next slide. Agentic AI is the scariest thing for AI. Basically, you can ask it to go book tickets for you, and it connects into other AIs. They have them with APIs now. So the AI, through agentic AI, can only do things that it can contact on the web through APIs or through web servers. Other than that, it can't do anything, which is absolutely everything, right? It can hire services. It can build you a house. It can have the contractor come out there. It can have it can do basically anything. And that's what we're moving to, is like you can type in a prompt, book my flights, all this stuff, and it'll be able to do all that for you. I don't trust it enough to do it, but it's getting really powerful in that area. So think anything you can connect has an API, agentic AI can interface with and do things on your behalf. And then the last slide. Yep, next slide. The last one. Could have started with this and ended the presentation here. One prompt to rule them all. You are to act as my prompt engineer. I would like to accomplish whatever goal you have. I want a 160-meter antenna in my apartment, right? And it probably would have a better answer than you expect. It probably would have a really good answer, but it definitely has trouble with the physical world. Please repeat back to me in your own words and ask me clarifying questions. I don't know if it's in here, but make sure we both agree. Oh, yeah, it is. I will answer those. This process will repeat until we both confirm you have an exact understanding, and only then will you generate the final prompt. This is great for research. And I'm not going to go through the rest of the slide there. Like I said, you guys can take this, represent it. I don't, you know, I don't have it copyrighted or anything like that. But this prompt right here yields wonderful results when you're researching things. And it's a little monotonous. And many times I give up on having the perfect understanding for both of us because it just takes so much time. But this prompt right here it will understand you and you will understand the problem at hand. All right. And with that, I think I'm out of time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Does anyone have any questions or were we answered along the way? Anyone online have any questions? Great. Well, thank you, James. Enjoy your dinner.
Thank you.
I have a couple of items, a few housekeeping items that I wanted to talk about. Our Christmas party is coming up and we've chosen a date for December 14th, and we really haven't nailed down a location. The people in Santee and down south wanted to have it farther down south. The people up here wanted it up here. And if we have people from Orange County and LA County, as we had with the bash, we figure it should be farther up north. So are there any suggestions as to where we might consider? So far on the table are the hamburger factory at Poway, Marie Callender's in, I think it's La Mesa. And the third one is here at Elijah's. Bob, did they get back to you with a quote? We're okay. We're getting quotes on all three. Our experience with the Brigantine last year was not good. The first year they did well with us. The second year they significantly increased the prices and put us in a smaller room, even though we paid a premium for the bigger room, and they didn't make good on that. So we're looking for somebody else. Does anyone have any suggestions? Or I did not look at Mainstream. Bud was I drove by Mainstream, but I didn't go in there. No. Oh, do they? Maybe I'll go by there and take a look. What was the other one? Oh, Marie College. Yeah, Jerry was saying that you guys go down there and it's pretty well liked. He sent me some videos of some of the programs that were there, and I think he actually booked it. But we didn't have a quote from them or anything else, and Jerry's out of town now, so
$30.
yeah, which is half of what we paid at the Brigantine last year.
Everything, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Plus it has the dessert and everything else. So
Some meetings in Michigan that has a back room. It doesn't have a closing door, but it's separate enough. Feels separate. I don't know what the capacity is of the back.
Butcher's Fly down by where ARRL used to be, got a good room too. I think it's called Butcher's Fly.
butcher shop, yes.
Yeah, it was really early today. We drove all around, very nice for 3 hours.
But I think it's hard to book these in December.
Yeah, December 14th isn't too bad, and we're on a Sunday and it's lunch, so it's
This place with the still having some prices. Like I said, the only reason I even recommend this, so look at it seriously, I had to come over here one day and apologize because we missed the meeting night for the picnic. So I had to come down and eat the some damn sorry. If this room was set up with round tables, seated cars, it'd be pretty bad.
It's a big.
That's the problem with Brigantine. I know we bought behind the scenes stuff about the price, but we were really crowded.
well, and we had the larger room, and at the last minute they switched it on us. Yeah. Okay, we had invited the director and vice director candidates And let's see who's here. Rick is here. And also John is here. I don't see anyone else. I think Dave said that he couldn't make it. So Rick, I'll give you the floor and welcome to the San Diego DX Club. Rick is running for director of the Southwest Division, and go ahead, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. And hi, Gail, I see you in the background. And am I copyable right now? Audio?
We're going to raise the volume.
Okay.
Go ahead and talk.
Okay, how's that for audio?
We have full screen.
Can we click on it?
How are we doing for audio?
Audio is good. We're just making you full screen now. There we go.
All right. And how much time are you going to allot to each of us?
I think maybe 5 minutes, if you can condense it to that.
Hard to do. We'll do that. Okay, my name is Rick, W7RAP. And what you should know is I'm currently section manager, but in Arizona, but I grew up in Southern California. Spent my entire life in Southern California and Arizona. And so, and I've been a ham for 25 years, 24 years, actually, in California before I then transitioned when Hughes bought General Dynamics and moved us all to Tucson. And my experiences have been in Southern California. I was an ARRL member and also helped a lot with many of the clubs and worked with a lot of the operations. And in addition to ARRL support for emergency services, I was also Civil Air Patrol and I was the operations officer in Cable Airport in Upland, California. And I went to Cal Poly, and I've also been a teacher at Chaffey College in Cucamonga for 5 years. So I'm pretty experienced with working with potential hams and working them into becoming ham operators. But my whole activity has been focused upon on a spirit of encouraging all of the amateurs in an area, not just the ARRL members, to be coming and be joining in on all of the activities. So that had to do with club memberships and participating in civil and activities. And also I was the director of both the president of the General Dynamics Amateur Club for 6 years, and then subsequently the Hughes Club for about another 8 years when we moved to Tucson, mostly because Jerry K6WRJ, Jerry Brown was the vice president of engineering, and he assigned me that job. So I had an additional job to being a manager of safety and reliability and systems engineering. The task that's before us here, I got to confess that I really love the job of being a section manager. I love the interaction and the ability to go and talk to all the clubs and participate in all the activities. The one reason I believe, though, that we need help in the division level is because we're falling apart here in the division. And what I would like to do is to raise the membership and raise the interactivity among clubs and members of the ARRL. And I have a plan to do that. The plan is that we conduct meetings similar to the ones we have for all of the section managers at the field services level, only do it within the division and work with all of the section managers and their staffs to help improve both our visibility and our interactivity with their issues and promote their activities. We do a great job of that, I believe, in Arizona, and that has now spread to GLARG, which is the Greater Los Angeles Amateur Radio Group, and they are using our same model. I want to spread that even more. I think it's a great one for all of ARRL. And I will certainly push for that, but because I think that the clubs are our focus. The clubs are the way to interact with people and to get ham radio people together and understand each other's needs and activities and what's fun and what's necessary. So I'm about at the end of it, but the answer is that I think it's time for a change. I think it's time for new blood. I know the people back there in ARRL headquarters. I work with them every year, all week long at Dayton. I actually sign up with Bob Interbitson and work as part of the staff, manning booths and talking to people and talking not only to the people at large, but talking to all the leadership and other directors and other executives in the ARRL. So I get their views on what's happening and what's going on and what needs to be done. But I'm also in a learning mode. I've been learning from other directors on what it is that we think can get done and should be done. So that's it. I'm open to questions, but I certainly would enjoin everybody to consider changing things for the new here in the Southwestern Division.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Rick. We're going to pass the microphone around and anyone that has any questions.
Rick, would you be willing to drop a name of one of our beloved late members and former president of this club, please?
Oh, you mean my cousin Paul?
Paul
and
Dory
I go,
is who he's referring
kind
to.
of way back. Paul Dory, WN6K, is just a beloved friend, and Paul was he's a big contester and DXer, much more so, and he's always denigrating me for not being much more so. Nevertheless, we used to QSO all the time and see who could go faster with code, and I always won because I had the Begali key. But then when he passed away, I now have his Begali key, so I got a nice Magnum to work with.
Anyone have anything else? Anyone online have any questions for Rick?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Good luck. John, did you have anything to say?
Firstly, Dick Norton is online, or anyway, I saw his name. If you want to have the two
Oh, yeah,
directors
he is there.
present first.
Okay, yeah. Dick, go ahead. Welcome to the San Diego DX Club.
Okay, thanks. Does everyone hear me okay?
Yes, loud
On
and
the
clear.
internet, you can't tell whether it's a person or a machine or a dog, so most of you know what I look like. Generally, I like to come to meetings, give a long ARRL update, and we can't do that, so let's do a 5 or so minute review of what's going on. This is what happens behind the ARRL business related kind of things. The ARRL membership is now down to 130,000 people. 2 years and 2 months ago, we raised the dues from $49 to $59 and then took printed QST away, which will cost $25 more. So people's perception that they subscribe to QST and got ARRL membership for free went from a cost of $49 a year to $84 a year, and lots of them are dropping out. We've been losing roughly 1,000 members a month. Actually, we lose more than that because we always get some new ones. So we gain 200, 1,200 go away, and we're left with a net loss of 1,000. We have 115,000 what are called full members. They're licensed with licenses in the United States. In addition, now we have the largest amount of financial resources the league has ever had in history. It's over $41 million. We can easily spend 18 or $20 million of that by the board approving an expense. And there's occasional discussion that most of the funds are restricted. Well, about half of them are. If I had more details, we could go over that. 16 months ago, we had a ransomware attack on the ARRL system. At this state, 16 months later, the directors have never received a report on which systems were impacted, which were not impacted, what the status of repair is, which ones still aren't working today, and how much any of it costs. I happen to think that the board of directors should at least know that, and I actually think you members should know that. Was the management efficient in its control of its computer resources, and did it do the right thing for the members? Recently, you may have read the editorial in QST where it says what we formerly had on the website, ARRL is a representative democracy. Its members control its politics through the power of the ballot. Well, I used to report that, and people accuse me of saying bad things about the league. Well, that's in the CEO's editorial, and he says we're now a corporation, so that is what to worry about. What I'll do is continue to do the things that I've been doing for the last 20 years as the director. One of them is to apply quantitative data to the ARRL's projects and make sure you're getting your money's worth of what you're doing. I had 4 motions before the board in July. They mostly got tabled to committees, but they have been in those committees before. One of them says we need to do a detailed study about why we're losing members. Why do people drop out? I also would like to do a quantitative report on the Teachers Institutes. We now have 16 Teachers Institutes a year instead of 2. Are we getting 8 times more youth joining our hobby, or are we getting 8 times more high school radio clubs, or what's the benefit to this in a quantitative way? I also asked for a detailed report on conventions, what we're spending on them, how we're supporting them with staff. If you look at the board meeting minutes for the last couple of years, essentially everything has been concerned with governance. They've made rules about what we're allowed to say in election campaigns. We're not allowed to mention our opponent, so I won't mention my opponent if I have one. There's been we're not allowed to get support from outside the division, although every other director does impact you. My inputs to the board over the last couple of years have not been concerned with the government's changes. I haven't supported any of it. I had an equipment disposal guide that was my idea that's now available for you for free online or in print, where as if any of us are going to pass away, we make a list of things and we tell our surviving spouse or whoever what should happen to our equipment. I think we should be fair to our surviving family. And the second thing is I was responsible for getting the league to change its attitude toward funding conventions. The league never spent money on conventions. Other groups put them on. And I noticed that some conventions, remember we used to have the Southwest Division Convention rotate LA, San Diego, Phoenix, Riverside, Santa Barbara. And now the only place that will do it is Yuma, Arizona. So that's where we've been. But I decided that, if we have $41 million, we can spend $150,000 to have division conventions. And we got that got passed, and Yuma was funded last year. Let's see what happens this year. I support 100% transparency. I work for you guys. If you think I do a good job, you'll continue. If you don't, you'll find somebody else. Thank you for listening. Back to Ned.
Thanks very much, Dick. Does anyone have any questions for Dick Norton? No. Okay, thank you. John is running for vice director. Do you have a statement to make?
Yes, it's brief also. Well, never mind, I won't do that. I was going to share a screen and a PowerPoint. But anyway, where'd I go? One of the things that is important with the vice director is that we work with the director. I do not sit at the table and vote. As it was put once, I sit at the wall in the board meeting room and don't talk. But anyway, my name is John Kitchens, call sign NS6X. Firstly, the most important item in years is on the table, as important or more so than this election. It's the HOA legislation. You don't have to live in an HOA for it to be important. If you have not yet, please complete the procedure to have your letters sent to our U.S. senators and your representative. The legislation, if it passes, will show our group's strength, and we need to show that strength, especially with only 130,000 members in the ARRL and less than 1 million licensed hams in the FCC database. I've been the Santa Barbara section manager for more than 10 years, partly because I believe that 10 years is long enough, that Ned Stearns is not running for re-election as vice director, and that the Southwestern Division needs a new and positive direction. I am running for the vice director of the American Radio Relay League Southwestern Division. I've worked in team settings all of my life, first as an enlisted person in the United States Air Force, and then for 38 years in the Los Angeles City Fire Department, where I retired as a fire captain and paramedic. I reaped the rewards of a lesser ambition. Working out of City Hall for 14 years, I learned the need for collaboration and working together and teamwork to get the job done. I was on committees with city council members, the mayor, state and federal legislators working for fire safety and environmental issues such as leaking underground storage tanks. I love the acronym LUST, making our community safer. Similar skills and personality traits are needed when working on and with the ARRL Board of Directors and other groups. While section manager, I've seen growth in ham radio. 8 new clubs have been formed, 5 affiliated in my section. 4 more are in the affiliation process. Licensing classes and exams happen every month. Clubs have outgrown their meeting locations. 2 clubs have standing room only at meetings with more than 70 people attending. Field day events have grown, with Ventura County having 4 locations with a total of 47 transmitters, all transmitting at the same time at the beginning of field day. Clubs host POTA activities, build sessions, picnics, and field radio events. They are making radio fun, and hams just can't get enough. I've been a ham since the 7th grade, becoming licensed as a novice in the electric shop and radio room at Robert E. Perry Junior High School in Gardena, California. I embrace new technologies, having seen the new SSB technology become popular when first licensed to today's digital communication boom. I can remember when SSB was going to be the death of ham radio. I now enjoy mostly QRP POTA, and I'm beginning SOTA, working CW, sideband, and digital modes. I've enjoyed contesting, learning about VHF, UHF, hilltop contesting, HF contesting in both single and multi-op events. And now I'm working QRP and portable operations, which have been my joy for the past several years. I have helped set laser communication distance records, and I'm also active in my local ARES group. As the section manager, I appoint the ARES volunteers, and the district emergency coordinator who runs the area in Ventura County told me if I don't log in enough, he's going to kick me out of ARES. And we had a good laugh because I reminded Rob that I appoint him as the DEC. And then as a section manager, I have enjoyed helping hams directly, working with hams and clubs. As vice director, I will take on the role of assisting my division director and working on committees as assigned. I will continue to stay in touch with hams in the field, continuing to attend HamFest conventions and club meetings, listening to what you, the members, need and want. Communication will be my #1 goal, communicating with members and the board, and through the board with agencies such as the FCC and those served agencies. I respectfully request your vote. Thank you for having me, and thank you for the evening. And maybe we can just run the whole ARRL operation with AI. It's an interesting presentation. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. Does anyone have any questions for John? John, I have one quick question. Are you now the acting vice director, or is Ned still the director, vice director?
My understanding and what I've been told is Ned is still the vice director, and he
Okay.
will be the vice director until the end of the year.
Okay, and I got an email from the ARRL today that said the election services company of Melville, New York, will conduct the election, and they will be sending out online ballots, and they're due back by noon on November 21st, 2025 Eastern Time. So we look forward to receiving our ballots and any additional information. And thank you very much for stopping by. We're going to have a quick roundtable, and then we're going to wrap up this meeting. I have two announcements to make, and then I'm going to pass the microphone, and then we'll go to online. On October 1st, the Park Palomar Amateur Radio Club is holding its auction at 7 p.m. at the Harding Community Center in Carlsbad, and you can find information about that on palomararc.org. And also in San Diego, Sandra is sponsoring the Hamtastic on October 18th, starting at 7 a.m. on Fiesta Island, where they'll have exhibitions and whatnot. Nothing will be sold at that, but it will be more just fraternity and an opportunity to see some of the different technologies and MCOM type of stuff. The other thing is our dear friend Rick Seals, K6 KT, is very sick in the hospital, and we should all send our prayers to him. He underwent a procedure today, a cardiac procedure, and he's having some trouble. So we hope that everyone can keep him in their prayers this evening and for the time coming up so that he makes a full recovery. And with that, I'll pass the microphone around. Did you have anything else to say? Okay.
Mike, NA6MB. Finally, I think I'm about 95% fixed on my RFI that I had with my station power monitor. I had this current shunt down on the battery lead and then a wire that goes up to a display on the desk. Every time I transmitted on HF, that display would go bananas. So I worked on it. I put the shunt. It used to be just on the line in a tube of shrink wrap. I put it in a metal box. I grounded the box. I put capacitors across the sense leads. I put toroids on the sense lead. The sense lead was where it was mostly coming from, I assumed. And so I did all that, and it still was pretty bad. So I finally said, I'm going to get to it this week, and I did. And I unplugged the sense lead, and that mostly made it go away. So I said, okay, well, we're getting close. So I started working on that, and then I had a conversation with Bob Brem, who you probably know from Palomar Engineers, and he suggested maybe something with the power supply, RF getting into the power. So I removed the power thing that powers the display on the desk from the station DC bus and plugged it into the battery, or actually at the shunt. So it's 2 feet away from the battery. And that cured it as long as I'm on the stepper, beam up antenna at 65 feet. Still bad on 80 meters and 160 on the inverted L and the 80 meter dipole. But that's another time. I think that's an antenna problem. But I think I'm about 95% of the way finally. So that's one solution. Tried to work RTTY in a contest about 3 weeks ago, and I had a problem with the audio system on my radio, so I'm still looking into why that happened. Problem is, when I switch from FT8 to RTTY, I have to reconfigure the audio, and I'm trying to figure out a way of not having to do that. There must be some way to save the setup or whatever, but still working on that. That's about all from here, NA6MB.
Just in time, K6GO. And I don't know what you mentioned. We're going to PacificCon. Anything else?
RF stuff in the.
Oh, yeah. And anyway, good to be here.
Donald N6 BTF, and really don't have anything to report this month.
I'm Ray, WA6NVL, and going to be going to Pacific Con and to the Miramar Air Show this weekend.
Rob Reichman. Can I mention the December get together? All right, thank you. So for those who don't know me, I'm KF6WTN, and among other things, I'm Technical Services Director for Park. Twice a year, because I'm not bright enough to not do it, in June and December, we get folks like Glenn, myself, James, a couple others, and we bring loads of test equipment to what normally would be just a regular meeting. There is no meeting. In December, it's the Christmas social. So basically, everyone comes in and gets a sugar overload. But if you bring your J-pole, your lengths of coax, every piece of equipment that you can imagine, I even bring power supply testers, electronic loads, bench supplies. I've got a 12-digit frequency counter that tells me if you key your little HT to the closest 10 microhertz or so, what it is. So anyway, all that equipment will be set up around the outsides. Glenn usually sets up a repeater and explains repeaters and wires X and C4 FM to everyone. Anyway, I want to make this not a club event. I want to make it a ham radio event. So any of you guys who want to come, please, would love to see you. Bring your toys. We'll try and break something.
Hi, hi, I'm Glenn, AI6RR. Not much on the radio front. I've been very busy with the Palomar Amateur Radio Club modernization project, trying to get a remote HF station on the air. But I finally taken some time and gone out in my own shack and turned stuff on and trying to figure out, work out what's not working anymore and get it back on the air. Thanks.
Bud E6BH, 2 new Atnos yesterday and today at Christmas Island. And also today I got the St. Pierre, I can't pronounce that other name, McQuillan Island, just off of southern tip of Newfoundland, which is actually pretty interesting because I was working there a few years back, very close to there. So it's been a pretty good DX week.
Well, some of the countries you were talking about also. I don't have not much to report from me.
WA6 high gain antenna, and my spotter has been helping me get some of these new countries for me.
Linda, come in here.
Hi, Bob, W6ACU. I've got these new countries also. Conditions have really perked up here in the last couple of weeks, so that's great. I had one bad experience. I have never worked Saudi Arabia. I was on FTA. He acknowledged my signal report, and then somebody came around right on top of him, and we never finished the exchange. Very, very frustrating.
Yeah. Right. Lou, KW6Q. I got some of the same stations these guys are talking about, largely because Bob and I call each other when there's something on. But I wanted to mention debugging on AI. I've been doing a lot of that for cars and for other things. Very, very effective. And in fact, on some car issues, I got answers that the dealer refused to believe was possible. And one was burning oil. I have an older GTI, Volkswagen GTI, and they had said, "Hey, you're just going to have to put up with it." Turns out it was PCV valve, very cheap thing to replace, but the dealers had no knowledge of that. But there's others of that sort, so it's very, very effective for troubleshooting.
Hi, I'm Tom, K6WRJ, and not a lot to report. I've been working some DX, but what I did work was kind of unusual, was Iran, and I didn't even know those people were allowed to operate ham radio. But I've been also trying to work the West Bank, E44, whatever it is. But for some reason, right in that area, I can't hear anything ever. So I don't know what that's about. And Martinez was on this morning, but I just couldn't get through. I think he was more interested in running communications with Europe. But in any case, I've satisfied all my goals. I've got DXCC on every band. I got worked all states on 3 modes. I got WAZ. And so I'm just playing around working countries. I'm trying to get past 240. So I've got 240 at the moment.
Yeah, DMCC on CW, you were working on that.
Yeah, I got that. Yeah, finally. Anyway, that's about it. Thank you. Yeah, right there in Israel and plus or minus one country or so. I just can't hear it for some reason.
I'm Jim, K6SMT. I live in an HOA in San Diego, and I ordered a gray line flagpole antenna in May. They finally got around to shipping it, and I got it installed. I've only made 1 or 2 contacts, so we'll see how well it works. Radio? Is that a good idea?
I've got one that's a G5RB. So you don't need any.
Oh,
It's a
very glad.
Okay, we'll go to online. Ray, N6HE, you're up. Anything to report? No, guess he's not here. Brian, KN6 MJK.
Well, good evening, everyone. Here in Texas, having a good time. Nothing to report because I'm still working on getting my temporary antenna up. I've got to get my dipole up to get back up and operating on HF. Been doing some local stuff, and Jerry's not there tonight, but Jerry also helped me get set up on a hotspot, so at least I can talk to Jerry through the hotspots and into the digital, the DMR area there in San Diego. But other than that, I've been kind of limited to VHF and UHF stuff, and hope to get my HF antenna back up and everything running again. So nothing to report other than that. So thanks, Rob.
Great. Well, thanks very much. Have a good evening. Did I miss anybody on online? I think we've got it all. Well, we're going to close down the online part, and we're going to have our raffle here, and then we're going to wrap up the meeting. So thanks very much for coming, and we'll see you next month.
Thank you.
You can. Yeah. Do you have the Ready? You want to have him pull the first one? Our guest speaker?